Welcome back. Well, in the last video regarding this standard walnut Springfield Armory M1A, we glass bedded it, and I showed you how very simple that process was. It took basically 25 minutes worth of work time, not including the assembly of parts and setup time, drying, and all those things. But the actual performance of the job was only 25 minutes. And taking it back down and separating the components and cleaning things up probably at the most took another 15 minutes. So during that presentation, I told you that I was going to tighten up this gas tube. That's one of the fundamental issues that can sometimes affect accuracy. So we're going to do that, and I'll show you that that's a very simple job too, and it's actually a very inexpensive job. So let's step over the bench and do as we always do. So these are the items that we need. First of all, the appropriate gas tube shims, and I'm going to speak about these. This was from Badger Ridge Industries. What a fantastic bargain, and very appealing. A 1/16 of an inch Allen wrench. I've got a piece of German silver here. You can also use a 1/8 of an inch drift punch, 3/8 inch wrench, box, open end, either one. And it's not necessary to have feeler gauges, but it just makes the job a little bit easier to perform. But if you have a set on hand, it's fine. Otherwise, don't go out and buy them. It's not necessary. And I've got myself a plastic mallet. Even a light ball peen hammer would work. Now you're wondering why I don't have on deck here, why I don't have a pair of castle nut pliers. That's what everybody uses, isn't it? Well, castle nut pliers, right now they're running about $26.95, sometimes on sale for $21.95, plus shipping, which is around $12.95. Well, you're talking about an item that is a one-use. I really can't foresee going into business servicing M1As for the rest of my life. This is a one-time job. I'm going to be taking off the flash hider, and that requires removing the castle nut. So God gave me a brain, and the Army taught me to exercise field expedience. I do know from past experience, I've installed countless hundreds, perhaps thousands of these Romex box cable connectors, and you can see it's got a crown nut on it. It's not the same as a castle nut, but it's on the same idea. And many years ago, when I was about 14 years of age, my dad taught me how to install these simply using a screwdriver and a bump of the hand, and that would wind that castle nut, that crown nut rather, very tightly against the box. So why can't I do that with a crown nut? You say, well, it might ruin it, it might dent it. Well, a castle nut costs $7.95. You don't have to be you don't have to possess a master's degree in economics to know that $7.95, if you have to replace it, is a little bit preferred to spending $40 for a tool that's a one-time operation. So let's get into this. So let's check out the shims that I got from Badger Ridge Industries. We are a small family-run, veteran-owned business. I like all that. Small family-run, veteran-owned. It doesn't get any better. Your purchase means a lot to us. If you have good things to say, please leave a review when you receive the email asking you to. Also, feel free to send us an email and tell us how you found us, make suggestions or give comments, or post about us on your favorite forums. And please like and friend Badger Ridge Industries on Facebook. If we haven't satisfied you, please contact us and tell us how we can work it out. We are always looking for better ways and better products. Your input is welcome. And it gives the telephone number here. You know, for something that's a very simple, seemingly simple item, but a very important one, it looks as if they've dedicated them to customer service and customer satisfaction. That's all very appealing to me. So let's see what we have. This is why I thought it was such an incredible bargain. Most shim sets come with 3 shims, and it's a toss-up whether or not those 3 shims are going to be satisfactory to make the appropriate closure of those parts. Well, in this one we have 6 shims, and actually for less cost, these shims only cost me $9.99 plus shipping. It came to $19.98. I mean, that's a fantastic bargain. You can see they're also color-coded. So 20 thousandths is blue, 10 thousandths is red, 7 is black, 5 is gold, and 3 is green. So I just like that, everything about it. And plus, they shipped them out immediately, and I got them very quickly. I didn't have to. So many of the other outfits says they're currently out of stock. Well, I can't wait for out of stock. It doesn't work. Now we must remove the flash hider in order to get the gas tube off and to install the new shims. So, at the base of the front side of this sight block, you'll see there's a angled 1/16 of an inch Allen head screw. Well, that's installed. If I find the opening there we go. That's installed at this 30-degree angle. So we just simply loosen that. Now you don't have to remove this screw. I see everybody removing it. I don't like to remove these tiny screws because getting them back in is sometimes a little bit of a hassle. If you notice, all that is a retention screw that goes into that castle nut, and once it's backed off sufficiently so that you can actually look through the side, and I'll show you that. Now, as I said, German silver is my preferred tool of choice. It's softer than steel. It's a gunsmith tool, and you don't need to go out and spend a lot of money to do some of these jobs. You know, that's one of these deals where, you know, they're glad to take all the money that they can get from you. $40, including shipping, is an awful lot of money for a one-time use tool. Even if you use it a dozen times, even if you went in business doing it, I'd still prefer to use this method here. All I have to do is go into the notch that's at 3 o'clock. There's one right there at 3 o'clock on the loosening side, and give it a downward tap. That's all there was to it. No damage whatsoever. So we'll just unthread it as it draws forward off the barrel. Like I said, you don't need to remove that. You don't need to remove that screw. That screw is in there just fine, and it's not going to come out. So set the sight assembly aside. Next is to remove the gas nut with our 3/8 inch wrench. That's all there is to it. Now we're seeking to correct the looseness of this relationship right here. You can hear that. This band, when it's tightened in a clockwise direction, you'll notice that it goes quite a ways. It goes about 1/3 of a turn beyond that gas tube. That's where that looseness occurs. Now, the very first thing you can do is to simply take your feeler gauges and find out, and again, you don't have to have feeler gauges, but that makes the measurement a little bit quicker, I think. We'll try 7 thousandths and see if it accepts a 7 thousandths feeler gauge. And it accepts a 7 thousandths feeler gauge just about perfectly. I want to be able to go slightly beyond absolutely tight. Let's try 8 thousandths and see what it does. I've been working so much with gun spaces in my life that that's rather an intuitive thing for me to just see it. 8 thousandths. It may even be better. I don't want to create binding here because as the barrel heats up, that's going to possibly cause shifting of bullet impact. So I don't want to have any binding. 9 thousandths. It won't come up. It won't come up on 9 thousandths. We'll go back to 8 thousandths and check that one more time. I like even numbers anyways. Right there, 8 thousandths, you can see that that's going beyond dead center just enough so that it will tighten it'll tighten this relationship up here nicely, but without binding as the barrel gets hot and expands. Everything here is going to expand and start fighting against each other, so we don't want to have that. We don't want to have it come up to dead tightness at the same time that it's aligned. So I want to go slightly beyond. Unscrew that ring. And just remove the gas tube. Straight off, it just pulls straight off. So we want a combination of rings that's going to come up to 8 thousandths. So we have 7 thousandths, we have 5 thousandths, and 3 thousandths. 5 and 3 is 8. So we need a gold and a green. I like this color-coded system. You don't have to be measuring with micrometers to see what you have. So I said I want a gold and a green. It's beautiful that they're color-coded, and it's so nice that you get such a fabulous selection. So there we go. We're just going to slide these on. Have to remove that barrel band first. So we're going to take our combination 3 and 5 thousandths shims, which makes 8. Slide that down onto the barrel shoulder. Reinstall the barrel band. Now the tab on the barrel band goes to the underside, and this larger ring goes to the handguard. Just fit them together and pop them on. Slide the gas tube on all the way down. Now be sure to put this back on exactly as it came off, because the thread timing can change by reversing it, and you don't want to do that. We've already established our required thickness, the shim thickness. So we're just going to put it back on with the bright side toward the gun. Thread this into place. If we've done this correctly, we should come up with a good closure, but we don't. We need to have greater shim thickness there. So I'll back this off, and we'll try. I think we've come about more than halfway. So I'm going to try a 10 thousandths and a let's see. We had 8 thousandths before, so twice that would be 16. So if I do let's try a 10 and a 7 thousandths and see if that will work. So as we see, this is a trial and error process. Remove that gas tube again, and the barrel band. Take those two shims off. We might have to do this more than once. You're with me for the first time on this, so red is 10, and 7 is black. Slide those on. Barrel band. So as you can see, it's probably not even indicated to measure it with feeler gauges, because things change when you're actually installing it. So trial and error is probably the best method. Try this again. Boy, that looks pretty darn good. I've got 17 thousandths on there, and it goes past center. I don't think that would bind. However, I'm going to reduce that to, I'm going to reduce the 7 to a 5. Put the gold on instead of the black. So I want to avoid cramping. I certainly want it to be tight without any looseness, but I don't want any cramping under heat. So we'll remove that. A little bit stubborn. Plastic mallet is a good thing to have at the bench. Take the barrel band off again. Remember, those rings have to go on behind the barrel band. So I said I'm going to remove the 7 thousandths, the black one, and replace it with the gold one. That would be the 5 thousandths. We'll see how that does. Be careful I don't, I've also got, with the gold, I've got a green one, so I've got to be careful I don't put those back together again. Count your shims on the bench and make sure you're not sistering up too many. There you go. Slide that on. Now, at first it winds up a little bit tight, so you want to spin that on. I think that's just about perfect. I think I like that. It's coming up past being tight. In fact, if I were to give that a pop, you can see it'll go a little bit beyond that with the mallet. I like to give it that pop just to make sure you seat things back here. Make sure that you've closed up any looseness, because you could have a false tightness there by giving that a wrap. You can be sure that that's fully seated and that you're not getting a false measurement. That's all there is to that. Now we reinstall our gas tube nut. And we'll tighten it up snugly, not over tight, with the 3/8 inch wrench. There we go. Now, I had forgotten to put a drop of oil back on that thread before I reassembled it. And what I prefer to use, as I showed you in my M16 cleaning video, is to use LSA. That's it's a very high temperature oil. It's really a specialty product that was developed during the Vietnam era for the high operating temperatures of M60 machine guns and M16s. And this, just a drop of that applied to the thread will ensure that you don't have seizing later on. And we'll reapply that side assembly. Make sure it's aligned with the splines right here. Just thread it on with your fingers. Let the threads pull it on. Don't push this and try to turn it at the same time, because you're going to catch with this screw here. So just let the threads pull it on. It's finger tight. Reverse the procedure. Now, give that a slight bump. You don't have to hit it very hard. And see if the screw goes in. No, it's not enough yet. We'll give it another bump until that decides to find its way in. Feels as if it may have started locating it. Here we go. It's winding in perfectly. You see, you don't need to go out and spend $40 for a wrench. I wouldn't buy that wrench even if I was going into business doing this. This is a even if I was a armorer, which I am, but if I was an armorer doing this on a daily basis, I would much prefer to use what I consider the superior tool rather than using those clumsy pliers that grab this and slip and everything else. You've seen what happens. And it doesn't in any way disfigure this notch. It simply doesn't. And an Allen wrench is its own torque wrench. When it's calibrated to be tight when that wrench itself begins to bend. And well, Benny's lying here waiting for me to get done with this video so we can do something more important as far as he's concerned, like going out hunting. Right now the foliage is starting to drop. We're at peak right now, but the foliage is just starting to drop. So it's kind of a nice time to go out. Won't be able to see any partridge if they go up. We'll just hear them probably, but it's fun for Benny, and it's nice to get out. But I enjoyed doing this for the first time. I learned a couple of things. The use of feeler gauges is really not important at all. I think it's more of a trial and error thing. That works as good as anything. It took me 3 tries, but that's the fun of doing something like this for the first time. My hat's off to Badger Ridge Industries. Boy, I heartily recommend their product. You know, for less than $10, you get 6 shims, not just 3, and they're more easily graduated to exactly what you need. You know, if this shoots well, I'm sure it will shoot well now that I've got it glass bedded, and with that barrel band snugged up, I'm going to be a happy camper. So support them. Support Badger Ridge Industries. It's a small family-run, veteran-owned business. I like all that. It means that they're going to take care of you. You're not just simply another mailbox that they're delivering to. You know, the information that they sent me along in the nice letter, the correspondence that they sent me, tells me that they care about me, and they'll care about you. So support them. And especially, I wish to thank my Patreon donors, those who support me and the work I'm doing. That helped purchase that set of shims, and they did purchase the set of shims. And so I really thank you for all for all your help and your support. And be sure to subscribe to me. Hit the subscribe button right now. And give me a thumbs up. That helps me too. And I hope to continue to do more videos. I want to take this rifle out and do some shooting with it, and do some range testing with some of the ammo that I used before, some of the accurate ammo like the Federal 175 grain loads, which it's not the load that I would use, but I know where it shot before. It was a 2.15 inch group at 100 yards with these open sights. And by the way, a standard comes with national match front sight, not the rear sight, but the national match front sight. So that's one of the nice things. You get the advantage of having a slightly larger aperture on the rear for clarity on duller days, but you also have that sharp front sight for good target acquisition. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now, and also click the bell so you'll know when I'm putting a video up. God bless.